If you can't buy a house in China, you are very unlikely to get married, to start a family. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I wasn't saying nonsense and I wasn't exaggerating to catch attention. This is truly happening in China right now. Couple of my male friends did get turned down and had to end the relationship because they couldn't afford to buy a property when it comes to marriage. It's really sad, I know, but this is a harsh reality in China. So why did the situation become like this nowadays? It's complicated. First of all, it's because of the gender imbalance. The current population of China is 1.45 billion in 2022. Among them, there are 742 million men and 706 million women. If you can do the math, there are 36 million more men than women in China nowadays. And among the 36 million Chinese men, half of them are in their marriageable age, from 20 to 40 years old, which means 1.8 million Chinese men are unable to find a partner because there is not enough women for them. Which also means 1 in every 20 Chinese men, there is always gonna be one who will fail to find a partner. The ratio is quite impressive, I have to say. The number is quite impressive. And this number is getting bigger and bigger. I think in another 20 years, this ratio probably would be 1/10. 1 in every 10 men. Wow. I can't imagine the life 20 years later. Wow, actually, yeah, I'm feeling a bit sorry for them now. Gender imbalance are mainly caused by cultural influence and government policy. As for cultural influence, for a long period of time in Chinese society, there's always been a preference for boys. Sex-based discrimination has always been there. Even though nowadays in big cities, this type of discrimination is diminishing, but it is still there, especially in poor rural areas. Because boys are considered to be better than girls, because boys can carry on the family name and they consider to have better capacity when it comes to earning money, taking care of your elderly parents. Yeah, on the other hand, girls are considered to be carrying less responsibility towards your parents. So all in all, generally they prefer boys. As for the government policy, it's a one-child policy. So the consequences caused by a one-child policy, it has exacerbated the situation of gender imbalance in China. In late 1970s, one-child policy implemented, and it lasted for decades. There were infanticides when the firstborn was not a boy. So for decades, there are more and more men over women in China. Second reason why Chinese men are unlikely to get married if they don't have a property or they couldn't afford to buy a property. Because of the cultural influence and tradition. I believe in most Asian countries, men carry more responsibilities than women. Like men are expected to do more, to pay more in a relationship, in a marriage. For example, wedding ceremony. It's usually arranged by the guy's parents and paid by the guy's parents. If the guy's parents couldn't do so, then the guy has to save up enough money to do so. Yes, so the responsibility is on the guy's side. Or you can throw a wedding together with your girlfriend if she agrees. Before you guys get married, either the girl or the girl's parents would ask you, when will you buy a house, buy a property for yourself and the daughter to live in? When are you planning to buy if you can't buy now? And are your parents gonna help? Something like this. They will make sure you will have a house for the girl and the future kids to live in. They want something secure, you know? If you're lucky, your girlfriend and her parents could help you with buying the first house. If they couldn't, then all the responsibility is gonna fall on you and your family. Sometimes I also feel sorry for guys in China. They are bearing so much more pressures. Imagine if your parents don't have money and yourself is not that outstanding. You are making a very mediocre salary, doing a very below average income job, then it's quite hard. It's quite difficult. I mean, like it's impossible for you to even buy a properties. The third reason why Chinese men are unlikely to get married if they can't buy a property is that the house price in China is ridiculous nowadays. I do know two guys who are able to buy a property very far away from the center Shenzhen with the help from their parents and relatives. So one guy, his parents helped him with about 120k US dollars. You know, this type of help is like a gift for him, you know? So he bought a 320k US dollars property in Shenzhen. It's like really, really far away from the center. 2 hours or 1.5 hours by metro. Another guy got the help from his cousin. He borrowed about 100k US dollars from his cousin, together with the amount of money he saved up with his wife, another 100k. So 200k US dollars they paid for the down payment. They bought a 85 square meters apartment in the area next to the airport in Shenzhen. It's about 7,000 US dollars per square meter. And these two guys I know are considered lucky because they could get help from family, relatives, and friends. Imagine those who can't get help from family or friends or relatives and themselves are unable to borrow that much money either. I mean, how can they even, be competitive in this market? I mean, how can they win the girl over before others do, right? Like, it's very harsh, very cruel reality. There's another solution. It's not ideal, but it's considered to be still acceptable. That your parents have a really nice big house back in your hometown, like in your third tier, fourth tier, fifth tier city in China. It's not popular cities. It's like really rural areas, but they got a really big house, few story, few floors, so which is big enough for 2 generations or even sometimes 3 generations to live in. Then the girl probably would still consider, at least you got a place for them to live. The girl's parents probably would, let the girl marry to you, like agree on that, because after all, your parents still have something for you, for both of you to live, for your future kids to live, right? It's not ideal, but it's still acceptable. So imagine if your parents don't even have their own property, their own proper property in your hometown. I mean, you are competing with guys who got help from parents, guys have good education, have good income, have like better backgrounds, kind-hearted, funny, smart, handsome, tall. You have to have something. I don't think it's only in China. It's like everywhere in this world. When it comes to marriage, there's always something attached. Of course, there is always exception. There is still true love. There are some girls who would like to get married to you when you have nothing at all. They don't expect you to buy a house, to buy a car, if you are truly in love with each other. For most of the time, you can overcome the difficulties and the obstacles together. You can create the future together. You can build a better future together. Like you can work really hard together to save up for your first payment, your down payment, or you can start doing some business together. There is always a way. There is always a solution. If 2 of you are really, really, truly in love with each other and care about each other's feeling, because love is about mutual sharing and mutual giving. Love can't last long if just one person keep giving and the other one is just receiving, right? Yes, so not necessarily that if you don't have a house, you can't have a wife, you can't have a genuine relationship in China. But just in general, it's really difficult. I wish everyone can have that type of marriage, that type of love, that type of relationship. But the reality is, it's really, really rare. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. I hope you have a really, really, really wonderful day. See you next time. Bye.